In order to do this, somebody has to go back precisely at the first creation. That's where I'll start. I am not going to start this time with Galatians or Romans. I'm going to start from the creation itself. And once we will clarify what the first creation stood for and how it was done, then we will begin to move slowly until we will come to the climax of our New Testament. And then we will be able to know and see what precisely righteousness of faith is all about. In fact, in brief, righteousness of faith is about the work of God, period, towards all activities of God, towards his creatures, like we humans. The definitions may be so many, but in brief, righteousness of faith can be defined quickly as the activities of God towards his creatures, especially we humans. The Bible is very clear that in the beginning, God decided to create. Yes. Creating is his hobby, his nature. He loves it simply because he's God. And once he decides to create, he wants to make things good. They must look good. And the Bible was always very clear that he saw that what he had made was good. It was not faulty anywhere. According to the limited information we have on creation, somebody can derive that conclusion that everything was perfectly done. What do you expect when the Creator is God himself, who is perfect himself? And obviously, he has to produce a perfect creation. He deserves a thank you for that. But now a few things to note. The verse says that during the course of creation, he decided to create humans. And sure enough, he creates humans. I used the word humans with all gender sensitivity, that I didn't say he created man, because man may be a representation of even women, but he decided to create humans. These humans he created, he made a statement, which I think some people today don't pay too much attention to. That these humans will look like us. Exactly like who? Like us. God is now saying that the humans will look like the God himself. You cannot theologize that kind of statement away. You have no choice but to live with it and say precisely what does this mean. The author tried to even go a little bit further. That he creates humans, but he doesn't only stop on creating humans. He also combines divinity with humanity. That point is very important for now. If we are going to understand righteousness of faith. Let us look at that. God creates humans. And he combines humanity with divinity, so that the combination we will not be separated. When you separate that combination, you cause a lot of problems. Humanity and divinity were combined together. You see? Yes, they were together. How? The author tries to say, at the best of his ability, that he breathed in humanity his breath. And the word breath in the Hebrew history, context, name it, let alone it came to stand for the Holy Spirit. Yes, he breathed his very breath into a human form. And once the divinity form combined with the humanity, the creature became useful and a living soul. That means you only become useful and a living soul when the combination is humanity and divinity. Be careful here now. I am not talking of the immortality of the soul or all of that. I am only informing you what makes that total human, what made a total human being. That, in other words, we can say that God clothed humanity with his righteousness. God's righteousness reigned not only on humanity, but on the entire planet. Where God's righteousness reigns, there's always peace and tranquility. We don't have to care or worry about the confusion we now see. Once we are clothed with the righteousness of God, it is his righteousness. First of all, he breathed, he planted the Holy Spirit in humans. Then covers them, and he covered them with his righteousness. There we have a perfect creation of humankind, standing, sharing on the divinity of God. What a gift. They were not standing alone. They were standing with God himself. They could communicate with him. They talked with him because they were his friends. And they were there to always enjoy his presence, because they have already gained freely. He gave them his righteousness, and his breath, or the very spirit, was residing in them. Let us make humans, and these humans will look like us, or will behave like us. They will talk like us. They will represent us wherever they go, because divinity will always be in them and they will have a companion who will never end. Now, this was a very good plan. The plan from the beginning was that his human creatures walk with God while they are living totally covered in his righteousness, enjoying the righteousness of God, not seeking it, not working hard for it, but it was freely given. You see, it was a part and parcel of the plan of creation that let us create humans. In the book of Psalms, you people, some of you who have already read some of these things, chapter 8, verse 4, it is very clear. It is very clear that I was made only lower than God himself. Some translations say lower than angels, but those translations are not correct. They are continuing the tradition of the Septuaginta, LXX, which means the 70, who translated Hebrew into Greek, and they downgraded that verse because they were Jews themselves to lower than angels. But originally, if God was very clear by saying that let us make humans who look like us, the verse should be looked at that we are just only lower than God himself. He gave us all things we needed, and God will always be our God. Now in our study, we will continue to expand on this wonderful gift, the gift which shows that God gave his divinity to us freely. Adam was not there to beg that, why don't you create me like this? Why don't you please give me some of your divinity? No, it was a gift from God. Humans, you look like us. Don't ask me how other creatures look, but I am always concerned with the humans, because this is precisely what our planet is all about, and how these humans were created. Others, I am not going to speculate, because I have no inkling whatsoever. But here we have some kind of a record which can show us that divinity of God was installed in me, and I was covered with his righteousness, God's righteousness. I'm emphasizing this because it is very important. Yes, I was covered by his righteousness, and God's righteousness is the same as the righteousness of faith. In our next presentation, we will now again see how faith plays a role in all of this.